Guys, I'm here 6 months later after I did a podcast with Albert, who is from my hometown in West Hartford, Connecticut. He's incredibly amazing. He's super genuine. He also was out at our event that we spoke at in Tulum, Mexico. And he brought some of his guys, and then we ran into him at dinner. He owns the firm Axe Elite. And what Axe Elite is they are the pinnacle of creating the sales process, training, and closing for anybody in the space. And Albert just told me he opened up a new restaurant. So that's 2 restaurants?
It's going to be our third
It's
location.
going to be his 3rd location. And we were reminiscing about a few things. But I don't want to take away his thunder. I was blessed enough for Albert to reach out to me. And as you guys know, we are growing in this social media space. And I wanted Albert to come down. I called him at a moment's notice. I think we spoke on Tuesday.
Yeah.
He hopped on a fucking plane here.
Yep.
And let me tell you, he doesn't look tired in the least, but he was up at 4 a.m. And I can tell you why, because I've taken that flight from Connecticut. It's a 6 a.m. flight, gets into Miami, MIA, at 9.
Yeah.
So, guys, without any further ado, this is my man, my brother, Albert. Say hello.
Mark, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. One correction, I was out by 2:30 because I'm an hour away from the airport. So,
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But, we did speak on Tuesday, and it's always great to hear from you. And when I do hear from you, it's always either a great message of confidence, positivity, or you're doing something big, or you want to do something big together. So I really appreciate you inviting me over to your studio. Fantastic place. I mean, beautiful what you're doing here. And I'm excited. I'm excited to share some wisdom, excited to be able to share some stories and see if we can inspire some of your listeners.
Nice. So tell us about Axe Elite.
Yeah.
Tell us where you got the name for Axe Elite.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely. So it's a long story, but for me, before I even get to Axe Elite, I think a lot of people need to understand that I wasn't born in this country. I came to this country when I was 14 years old. I was born inside a refugee camp in Moscow, Russia.
Yeah, you told me this.
Yeah. My parents
Scary.
escaped the war, political persecution because of the basically difference in thought, difference in belief. They were kicked out of their own country. And I was born on the floor of the refugee camp. For the first 6 years of my life, I lived inside the refugee camp. So we're talking about a room like this, actually. 350 square feet room, cooked up, public bathrooms, public showers. And that was my childhood for the first 6 years. I didn't have anything. But when you don't know what you don't know, you think this is how life's supposed to be. So therefore, you're happy. You see your mom, you see your dad, you're like, wow, this is normal. This is what we're supposed to do. But then you start to watch movies. Chuck Norris, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rocky. And you're like, wow, these people live in mansions. These people have showers. They have bathrooms in their home. Like, what is going on here? Why don't we have that? So you start to question a lot of things. In Russia, a lot of things have changed, right? There's a group that's called skinheads. So you can see my beard is dark, my hair is dark. My dad is very similar. So when we lived in Russia for the first 6 years, we didn't have any issues. Then we escaped the refugee camp. We got ourselves a small place. A couple years down the road, skinheads started to be, kicking people out. And my dad's car got on fire. My dad got almost killed. My older brother was buried in the snow with concussion. And we're like, we can't stay here. Another journey starts, right? We have to go and find a new home. So my dad would write letters to America every single month asking for opportunity to come to the United States. We finally got the sponsorship. We finally got an opportunity to do so. We came to the United States of America, not knowing one word in English, not knowing anything. My dad dropped his whole life at the age of 40, culture, friends, family, language, establishment of who he was at that point, and had to start over so that way me and my brothers could have a better future.
What was your dad's name?
Carl.
Carl. Mom?
Mom came with us, left about 4 years after. And it's because of lack of money, lack of cultural difference. There was just people are like, well, you were a stay-at-home wife for 24 years. You shouldn't listen to your husband. You shouldn't do what he's telling you to do. You could go out. You could do this. You don't need to bring one paycheck home. Have your own paycheck. So there was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of argument because of lack of money. And they ended up separating. My mom ended up leaving. I was about 16 years old when that happened. And seeing my family just separate due to lack of money, lack of not having enough, always drove me to want to have more.
Right.
Remember I told you, watching these movies, why don't we have that? How did these people get there? I always had this desire of just wanting more. Was not a good student. Got suspended 14 times. Got expelled on the 15th time. Did not want to go to school.
Hold the thought.
Yeah.
You went to Hall High?
Hall High School.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. William Hall High.
William Hall High School. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were. They just changed the.
Warriors.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't. We're warriors.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And Connor are the chieftains.
Exactly.
You can't. Okay. And Hall Connor, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our crosstown rival.
Yes.
For you guys that I'm speaking in code, so I apologize.
Yes. So, in that point, I'm just like, I know there's greatness inside me. I know I want more, but I just don't know how to get it. I know that I can outwork anyone. I know that I can do whatever I need to do. I work every single job, from cleaning toilets to being a dishwasher to being a prep cook to working construction, installing. I took anything I could just to be able to make money, right? I fought on the street for money, just so that way I could go out there and say, okay, what's gonna happen? What am I here to do? I had no purpose in life, and I remember everybody's going out. I'm playing soccer in college, MCC, third division soccer.
Manchester Community College.
Exactly. Was a great player. Couldn't go to a big school because of all the issues that I had with the law, fighting, getting suspended, getting expelled. But I'm a good player, so I'm playing soccer for the school. Thursday night, everybody's going out. So we're going out, and back in the day, we used to pregame. So let's go to somebody's house.
Yep.
9:30, 10 o'clock. We'll drink there. Then we go to a club. Then we hang out, right? So 9:30, 10 p.m., I'm getting ready after soccer practice. I see my dad walking in from work. And I'm like, wow, 9:30, 10 p.m., this guy's walking in from work. He looks tired, exhausted.
Yeah.
Okay? The night finishes. It's 3:30 in the morning. I come back from drinking, partying, clubbing, soccer buddies, all that stuff. I come in, he's sitting at the kitchen table, drinking the tea, getting ready to go to work. I'm like, shit. Like, I'm tipsy at that moment.
Right.
He leaves to go to work. I can't sleep the whole day. I'm like, this guy went to work when I went to the club. I came back from work when I went to a club, 9:30, 10 o'clock. He's going back to work at 3:30.
When you came back from the club.
Yeah. What am I doing? He didn't come to this country, sacrifice everything for me to waste my life. I am 17 turning 18 at this point. I make a decision to not go to school, make a decision to stop playing soccer. I'm not going to go after this dream. I'm going to go after a bigger dream. And the bigger dream was to retire my dad, to be able to give him the life that he deserves, to never have him suffer again. 6 years later, I make my first 6 figures in a company that was selling nutritional products.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, I retired.
What was it? Herbalife?
No, it was Your Health.
Your health.
Yeah, it was a hard gig. Not gonna lie to you.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. Network marketing is not easy at all. But it taught me to have thick skin. It taught me to, like, people were focusing on recruiting. I was focusing on selling the products, being the product of the product, and having soccer background, fighting background was very easy for me to fall in love with the nutritional aspect of it and sell it, build, teams all over the country, internationally, end up selling that tree, end up selling that, taking that money, reinvesting into my own telecom company.
Got it.
And that's how Axe Elite was born. Now, the reason why we named the company Axe Elite, to go back to your question, it was from average to elite. And if you look at the X X is the road path that you have to go through, the transformation that you have to go through.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
That I love that explanation.
Thank you.
And I'm going to explain to you how I came up with Shapiro Capital. It's a joke, okay? That's really a insanely humbling story. You never told me that story.
Yeah.
I can't imagine at 6 years old living in a concentration camp. I forgot what they called them during the Korean War, like a reassignment camp. We did crazy things like that. But this is Russia. This is not the U.S. where they're more humane.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that your mom didn't stay. Did you still have a relationship with her?
I would say I respect her, love her, but her decisions. I forgive her. But would I say we have a relationship that's close? No, we don't. But I moved on. I moved on because at the end of the day, everybody makes their own decisions, and I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. So everybody knows I'm a religious Jew, and God guides our way. And the other day, my rabbi came and he put the mezuzahs, the little scrolls that are on each door. And somebody asked me, what does that mean? So when we wear the yarmulke, it just means that God's above us. It just reminds us God's above us. When we leave the room, or we leave a building, or we leave our house, we kiss the mezuzah with our right hand, okay? And we do that because we're taking God with us wherever we go.
Love that.
And he's here because wherever we go, he
guides
fills. He guides us, right? So, where did you get this insane intestinal fortitude? What gave you the drive, to become so successful? Okay, and English, I know, is not your first language, and you speak it well. And tell us about what drove you there, and what the road to success was.
Absolutely. I mean, what a great question. You said something. You said, I'm sorry that your mom didn't stay. Some people always say to me, I'm sorry you grew up in a refugee camp. I'm sorry you didn't grow up with, silver spoon. You didn't have much. And I say, no, I'm glad. I'm glad. That's what built me. That's who I am. I'm glad, my mom left. I'm glad that I was born in a refugee camp. I'm glad that I wasn't born with anything. I'm glad that I had nothing to my name when I came to this country. I had people make fun of me. I had people bully me. And why do I say I'm glad? Because you said, how did you become so successful? How did you get to this point? And the answer is pain. Pain is what drove me. Pain is what made me want to change. Pain is what made me want to say, I don't want to stay average. Whole high school, I had my assistant principal, Miss Solomon, said to me, you're either going to be dead or you're going to end up in jail. And I said, really? She goes, your parents should be ashamed of you. That's what she told me. And I remember listening to her.
How old was Miss Solomon?
Like 45, 50 at that time.
Yeah, I don't remember her.
Yeah. So, listening to her voice saying, your parents should be ashamed of you, man, that drove me. I'll show you. Oh, you're going to eat those words. People telling me, you should be lucky. You should be thankful and grateful that we gave you a job. You barely even speak English, right? And hearing all these voices, hearing all these people that doubted me, drove me insanely. That's what made me successful. Is because I hated the pain. I didn't want to continue to have that pain. But I used that pain not to disable me, not to handicap me, but to drive me and give me the fuel to keep going.
So when you talk about growing up in West Hartford, and obviously that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this little odd factoid, that back when I was a child, At one point, West Hartford was in the top 5 cities of income per capita.
Oh yeah.
And we had some of the wealthiest people there, which as I became successful and I eventually moved here, never sold my house up on the mountain. I didn't sell it until I got divorced in 2000. We moved here in 88.
Okay.
And I remember being contacted by a builder named John Zeke, who I went to high school with. They owned a company called General Building Supply in East
Okay.
Hartford. They sold that when I was, I don't know, my early 20s. And it's like my next door neighbor was a guy named Leonard Udolph. His son is Robert, who runs the business now. The other next door neighbor was a guy named William Beckerman. His house got knocked down. I had a tennis court there, so we actually sold the tennis court to this guy John Zeke and put up a house because we weren't using. We were here in
You're an
Florida.
extra lot.
Yeah, I just didn't want to sell it. I don't like selling stuff. And every so often I'd go back there, and I would go to Manchester to the Shady Glen. Did you ever go there for cheeseburgers?
No, Shady Glen.
Shady Glen. Best cheeseburgers. I love a good burger. Crunchy cheeseburgers. Insane.
Wow.
But I don't know how I got off on this tangent. But West Hartford used to be the elite of the elite. You know, now it's Greenwich, it's Westport,
Stanford,
it's Easton, it's, Southport. But West Hartford had 2 public schools and 2 private schools.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to go to private school. And going to public school, I just wanted to follow my brother's footsteps and play ball there. And I had the greatest childhood. You could go anywhere.
Yeah.
You could ride your bike anywhere.
Yeah.
You could walk anywhere. Nobody bothered you. People were genuine and kind. And that's changed.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if West Hartford is still like that. When I do go there, I see all these people trying to outdo each other.
Yeah.
I notice that.
Yeah.
That's very much the culture here in Miami.
Yes.
So we are typically, try to fly under the radar. We're not really showy people. Myself, Gabriella, my kids. And I had to get comfortable to create this funky-ass space. But a lot of the things that you said to me in that first podcast had a distinct influence on myself. And when I saw your guys in Tulum, I'm like, this is amazing. This is family. This is what I want. Each one of those young men,
Yeah.
okay, I found them to be amazing and intoxicating.
Thank you.
So how did you do that?
Yeah.
How did you instill that in these young men? Because society is infected
Yeah.
with bad.
Yeah.
And thank God we have a new president who's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank God he's trying to right the ship and get rid of all the waste, because the U.S. is the greatest corporation in the world.
Right.
The biggest corporation in the world. So, and what did you think of the Zelensky interchange? I don't want to talk politics, but
Yeah. For me, Zelensky interchange was, you don't come to meet a new president of one of the greatest countries in the world unprepared. You got to know your opponent. You got to know who you're selling to. You got to know where you're going. Right? One of the comments that Donald made was, man, don't you own a suit?
I didn't hear that one.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a great comment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're coming to meet a president of the greatest country in the world, and you can't put a suit on? I mean, talking about morale, talking about ethics, talking about standards. You're coming to my house, asking me for aid, asking me to help. At least show up with attitude that you were prepared.
Yeah.
Attitude of, this means a lot to me. First impression is everything. You can only make the first impression once.
Yeah.
And that was the first time they're meeting since he took the office. And you want to show up, you want to show that you're there to make the deal. The gentleman showed up, did not look like he wanted to make a deal. And again, we're gonna see so many different things. So many people are gonna say it's all a show. You know, it was reality TV. They're both actors. I get it. I understand that perspective. But the bigger perspective is that there's war. And for me, I'm not a politic type of guy. But I'll tell you what, I just don't want war. Stop the war. People are dying, right? And if you really want to stop the war, stop the bleeding, make the deal. Put the people first.
Well, they did sign the mineral agreement, correct?
Yeah.
So next should come some type of agreement between the Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
That president is trying to broker based on the U.S. aid.
But it shouldn't have taken this long.
No. And I don't even understand how the Ukraine actually survived this long with such a small military.
Yeah.
And under.
The reality of things, I feel like if Russia really wanted to do what they wanted to do, or what they claimed they were going to do, they would have done it. I think they understand that there's people at stake. And I think they understand that there's so many people are dying that it's not good for anyone. So to me, I grew up in the world of war. I grew up with my parents, suffering because of war. So me hearing that, it becomes a money game.
Yeah.
When you're putting dollar value comparing to people's lives, I get really pissed off on that.
Yeah. What else pisses you off?
Well, to me, bad leadership, fake gurus, right? I think a lot. You asked me a question that I want to get back to. You said, how did I instill these principles into these young men?
Yep.
And I say that you don't choose leadership. Leadership chooses you. We don't go out there and say, give me a position, give me a title. Oh, now that I have a position, title, I have to be a leader. If leadership is not in your heart, you will not be able to lead nobody. So you have to be the person that wants to serve. You want to be the person that wants to go there and make an impact. The reason why, when I made the money, I made my first million when I was 28 years old. So
Nice.
coming from nothing to making a first million at 28.
Pretty different, huh?
Of course. Making dozens of millions of dollars at the age of 30, and then making over $20 million at the age of 32. All this is like, okay, well, Albert, remember, don't forget where you came from, right? At one point, you needed someone. And I remember going to everybody and asking for help. And you know what I was told? I ain't telling you shit. Why would I tell you something to create another competitor? Why would I tell you something? So that way you can go and try to take my clients away? I'm not telling you anything. Or you want my help? You want my advice? Pay me, right? So to me, I grew up figuring it out. And that was hard. That was hard. And if I didn't have the heart that I have, the thick skin that I have, I would have quit. And most people do. Most young men, young women who have no mentorship, no guidance, they quit because they get lost. They get lost in the process. So when I made the money, I said, okay, I want to create a community. I want to create a company that has the people and has their best interest. That's why in my company, one of our laws, one of our core values is people over profits. We put people first, right? And how do we put people first? We educate them. Right. We educate them on how to make better decisions, how to believe in yourself, how to manage your money, how to go out there and learn a skill that's going to be able to put food on the table. So the reason why I started to instill these principles into these young men and women was because I never had someone do it for me. And I desperately wanted that. I desperately needed that. And no one was showing up. And if they did show up, they asked for the checkbook. They said, hey, pay me. And I know these young men and women don't have the money to pay. But they also, just like me, have this passion, desire, purpose to want to help their mother, help their father, maybe get out of the, bad zip code, maybe stop driving that broken down car, whatever the case may be. I want to help them. Because
The hoopty.
the hoopty, exactly.
Yeah.
Because what I learned is that we don't get to tell our story. The people we impact
Tell our
tell
story.
the story for us.
Wow.
And when I die, I want people to keep telling my story. You know, he's no longer here, but you know what? There was this gentleman, Albert, who grew up with nothing, who dedicated his life to helping me, and today, because of him, my dad doesn't work. Because of him, my mom doesn't have to go to work. Because of him, my kids live in a better neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
That's what drives me.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's inspiring me. And I'm going to actually use that people over profit,
Thank you.
because we're always trying to instill that we're trying to change people's lives.
Yeah.
The most basic thing is to own a home.
Yeah.
It's a necessity: food, clothing, and shelter. And people don't want you to know how to do it. People are basically envious of somebody that has more than them.
Yeah.
And I love competition. I think competition is what makes us better. So when you said no one would help you, how did you get that break? How did you have that breakthrough moment?
Earning. You know, I honestly think
The vitamin sales?
all of it.
All
All
of
of it.
it.
And I'll explain that to you because I think there's this currency, and we're not talking about dollar, we're not talking about euros, we're not talking about rubles, we're talking about currency that's universal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your work ethic.
Right.
That's what you do, right?
Correct.
How you do it. And for me, I had to earn everything I have in my life,
Mhm.
right? The people, the connections, the money, the assets, the toys, all of that had to be earned.
Mm-hmm.
So when you ask me like, well, how did you get the break? Well, for me to be able to get somebody to listen to me, to be able to guide me, I had to show them that I wasn't just like anyone else. Hey, if you're gonna invest an hour with me, it's not gonna be a waste, it's gonna be an investment. Right? But people don't want to just give that hour to anyone. You're a very wealthy man, you have a very busy schedule. So if you're gonna give somebody an hour, that hour translates into a certain dollar amount and certain value. So if you were going to spend an hour with somebody, you want to be able to spend that hour with somebody that's worth it, that
Right.
you know that's going to go ahead and do something with it.
Right.
So I had to climb up the mountain of success. I had to get to show people, look, I am the top producer of your company. I am the best of the best. Give me an hour of your time. Sure, you're the best of the best. Here's 1 hour. Boom, take that 1 hour. Hey, listen, remember you told me to do this, this, and that in 1 hour? Look, I did that. Can I get one more hour? And you start to earn people's time because everybody wants to help. People just don't want to help the wrong people. So when you show people that, hey, I'm the right person, they're going to end up saying, okay, let me give this person a chance. And they're going to give you a chance. You know, I always say to people, you are where you are in your life is exactly where you're supposed to be. Like, what do you mean by that? I said, it's not a coincidence. Nobody owes you shit, right? Nobody owes you anything, right? Do we go and sometimes pray and say, God, give me a break. God, help me out. God, please let me meet somebody who's wealthy, who's not guy. We all do that, right? When we are struggling. But in reality of things, no one owes us anything. So therefore, you are where you are because you haven't done enough to get out of there. So to me, that work ethic currency to not stay where I was got me out.
Right.
And when people love energy, people love when you're not like everyone else. For example, let's just say every wolf is white, you're the black wolf. You're going to be noticed. Why would you be noticed? Because you're standing out. I stand out. When I walk into the room, everybody knows that motherfucker right there is the hardest working person I ever met. That guy, and if you go talk to 1,000 people that know me, I'll never tell people that I'm going to do something that I didn't do. I always deliver, whatever it is. I always execute.
I love that.
And in life, you're either going to have excuses or you're going to have executions.
Yep.
And I want to be known for the guy that has executions.
You're making me think of 3 things that I'm going to have to now remember to ask you about.
Yep.
So I want you to remember about execution.
Sure.
And I also want you to remember I want to talk about time
Time. Okay.
because I'm a time guy. I am a watch guy.
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to know the significance of the watch on your wrist.
Yeah.
So tell me about the significance, and I'll just share one thing. I'm going to take off this watch.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not a Timex. Okay, but on the back, it's a flyback. Okay, and most of the Patek's are flybacks, and the watch means two things to me. All right, the flyback side of it means the vulnerability, the openness that I have
Sure.
to people. And people do sometimes take advantage of me because I generally think people are good. I want to see people only in a positive light. I want to help people,
Yeah.
like my dad, who was a dentist in New Hartford,
Yeah.
and would drive 44 every day back and forth. But there's a little saying that I wrote on this, and it reminds me to be joyful and grateful.
Love that.
Every time I buy a watch, every time I do a deal or have a successful deal, I buy another watch.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, I've only bought myself one watch. So I guess I've only had one successful deal.
Yeah.
I don't want to say how many I have, but you guys can watch the videos and see what I wear, the different
Gotcha.
watches.
Gotcha.
But and I wasn't saying that in an ostentatious way, okay? So I don't even know what kind of watch is this? A Tribulon?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Nautilus.
Yeah, it's a Nautilus, okay? For any guys who like Pateks, it's a Nautilus.
Yeah.
It's stainless. It's not white gold. Couldn't afford the white gold. That's not true. But what does your watch mean to you when you bought it? It's an expensive watch.
Yeah.
It's very tasteful.
Yeah.
It's understated, okay? It's not an in-your-face orange RM, iced out.
Yeah, yeah.
It says, I could buy $1 million watch,
Sure.
okay? It does two things, okay? This watch and this watch, they keep time, but they also say one other thing. They say what your time is worth,
Yeah.
okay? They may keep time, or a regular watch may keep time, but this shows the value of your time
Absolutely.
because these are not toy watches.
Yeah. Unlike you, I'm not a watch guy whatsoever. Right?
You're a car guy.
I'm a car guy.
I know you are.
Yeah. I'm actually, if I had a conversation with somebody that we both know, and they asked me like you have a couple cars, but why don't you have this car? And I said, because instead of me putting another $400,000 into a car, I take that $400,000 and I put it into my team. Right? My team, like we do such a crazy things. Like at the end of the year, we give out over $1 million in bonuses to our people.
Amazing.
Right?
Amazing.
And to me, that has more impact than me buying another car. But I do have a fund, right, where I put all my fun stuff in. Right? I earn it, boom, put it into that, and then get myself something else. To talk about this watch. So it has a meaning. Even though I'm not a watch guy, it has a meaning, and I'm going to tell you the meaning. So there's this thing about America that people say the highest divorce rate in America is over 50%. Like
Yeah,
people
yeah.
get divorced, right? You actually had to experience that
I did.
yourself.
It was horrible.
So I'm actually very fortunate, right? Because I've been with my wife for now 13 years.
Mazel tov.
Yeah.
Nice.
And 3 kids, 1 more on the way, right?
Nice.
Blessed to have that. So I got this watch after our 12th anniversary. And if you look at the time, it has, 1 through 12. That's how
Right.
many hours. We have 24 hours, but it's up to 12 that you should see on the watch. So when I got that, I said, you know what? We beat the odds. We have stayed together for over 12 years. And this watch, every time I wear it, it reminds me of the fact that I am one lucky man to have found such a beautiful woman that's beautiful on outside, on inside, that has blessed me with 4 children, that has been there for me when we had absolutely nothing, with all the issues, all the troubles. You stood by me, you loved me through thick time, good time, bad time, thin time, all the time. And that's what which reminds me of.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Family first.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you have to put your family first. There's when the music stops and all the accolades stop,
Yeah,
your family is still there.
yeah,
So that's an amazing thought. I want to touch on one little thing. So you use the word about how to achieve greatness, how to achieve success, and the word was execution.
yes,
And there's a phraseology in real estate that how do you locate a good deal? And the good deals are based on location, location, location. But I've come to the realization after 41 years in the business, it's not about the location.
okay.
It's about execution, execution, execution. How did you learn that principle
Yeah,
to be the guiding light,
yeah,
to guide what you're doing?
yeah. So I grew up where there was not a lot of good examples. So my dad, love him to death, means the world to me. He is my hero. You know, everything he has done for me and my brothers. But I remember my dad smoking cigarettes all the time, right? Stress, whatever you want to call it. And then he would be the great educator. He would take the cigarette, he would smoke it. He would say, look, you see this is nicotine. You see how yellow that is? You see what it does to your lungs? I don't want you ever smoking. You understand me? Don't ever smoke. Then he would take us to meet the homeless people. You see the homeless guy? You see he's on drugs? You see he's drinking? I don't want you ever drinking. I don't want you ever doing drugs because you're going to end up like this. So he would show me this. But then my dad would be smoking cigarettes. Dad, you tell me not to smoke, but you're smoking. But don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. And I learned that, okay, you're teaching me a good lesson, but you're not doing it. I want to teach a good lesson, and I also want to do it. So for me, everybody talks, and that's the today's world. You know, everybody goes and says, I am the best sales trainer. I am the best sales coach. I am the best leader. I'm the best that. I'm number one this. I'm number one real estate agent. I'm number one construction. Show me. Prove it. Where is your tangible? We have sales trainers that have no sales teams. We have people that are in the fitness industry that are overweight. We have people that teach sales that never sold a thing in their life. So to me, I go to sleep at night wanting to know I am real, wanting to know that I am who I say I am. And that is being the guy that executes, right? I don't want to go and portray one story and do something else. Am I perfect? Far away from that. However, to me,
Well, your hair looks pretty perfect.
thank you.
today.
I appreciate that.
You got a fresh shape
since
up.
2:30 in the morning is good.
You got a fresh shape up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that I execute, and that builds confidence for me, right? When I go, like I have a to-do list, and if that to-do list is not done, I don't go to sleep.
Right.
I have to get it done. I go into my office. I ask my guys, show me your to-do list. So you don't have no targets today. You have no objectives today.
Yep.
How are you going to become a millionaire? How are you going to become someone that's going to impact other people's life when you don't have a to-do list? I don't have a great memory. I write everything down. And I say
I'll
this
show
today-
you my pads after.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
I play game of life every single day. And in a game of life, I don't want to be the NPC character, right? I want to be the main character. Main characters have objectives,
Right.
right? And you don't pass to the next level unless you hit your objectives. So every day there's a to-do list. Every day there's 5 critical tasks that I need to do. I gotta get them done so that way I can go to the next. I have not earned my pillow to go to the next day if I didn't execute on every single task. So execution to me is that medal of honor that I carry with me to be able to be the guiding light, to lead by example, to say, I'm never gonna ask you to do something I didn't do.
I like that. So the what your father instilled in you is a saying: "Do as I say, but not as I do." And
a good one.
my dad smoked, and I think until I was about 10, and then I used to take his Lucky Stripes or Camels, and I used to hide them or throw them out. And eventually, we convinced him to stop smoking,
Yeah.
and he went on to smoke a pipe because you don't inhale a pipe, and then smoke cigars occasionally. You don't inhale cigars. And I remember telling him that, this is disgusting. But years back, because he was born in 1930,
Yeah.
everybody smoked. And nobody knew how bad it was.
Sure.
Because, they didn't have that much data back then. But if there's one thing that you would change, or there's one thing that you changed, what would it be?
About what? About anything?
About yourself.
About myself.
Yeah.
Oof, that's a good one. Sometimes, I would say a lot of times, I gotta stop leading with my heart and sometimes lead with my brain. And if I tell you the amount of times I pulled a knife out of my back,
Bro, it's insane.
Yeah.
Why? Why are people so fucking jealous?
yeah,
It's crazy that you say that, okay? And I'm just going to say it on the camera. When I had a black guy's penis implanted onto me so I could have a bigger dick so I could have more chicks. No, I'm just fucking with you. I just got to get a little ridiculous.
yeah.
I love when I make Tanner laugh. What is wrong
Yeah.
with all these guys out there? And I'm not going to say who it is, okay? And I considered him a friend. I still consider him a colleague in this industry. But when he came to this office, I'd never seen somebody so envious.
Wow.
And it was right after we finished, and we were just fitting out the podcast studio, right? Yeah. And it blew me away. And then he used his jealousy
Yeah.
to do something not very nice to me.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You know what they say? There's a quote that goes, "Don't feed every dog that's hungry because one day they're gonna eat the food that you fed them to get strong enough to bite you."
Right.
Right? And that's the story of my life. Story of my life is taking people, making them better, putting money in their pocket, teaching them the skill, and then they try to steal from you. They try to backstab you. They try to, take away your recruits. They try to do all these different things, your contracts, your clients, all these different things. And I say this to them, right? May God have mercy on you because I won't.
Right.
Right? Because once you screw me, I don't play that game, right? I do everything I can to destroy you. Because to me, I know where my heart is. And my heart is very good heart. I give people a lot. I give a lot
Bro, you got
of
up at
time.
2:30 and you flew down here because I said, "Can you do this for me?"
Yeah.
And you did it.
Yeah,
And I thank you for that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you, this is something that one of my old mentors taught me, not Bob Allen, a guy named William Mordecai Grossman. He was from Westport. He taught me how to buy paper, which for everybody that doesn't know what paper is, it's distressed debt, mortgages. He taught me this one lesson. He gave me and taught me the definition of a white wolf, a gray wolf, and a black wolf.
Okay.
First, I'll ask you what type of wolf you think you are, that you
Sure.
identify with, and if you know the different degrees.
I don't.
Okay.
So I can't identify myself with any of the wolves because I don't know what they are.
All right, so I'm going to give you
Sure.
the definition. So a white wolf is ferocious. Wolves are ferocious. They're wild.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you take that white wolf and you box him in a corner, okay, and cut off his food supply, that wolf will eventually die from lack of food and water. The gray wolf, okay, is going to fight and claw its way out, but eventually it's going to exhaust itself so that it can't achieve anything, and his food supply's gone, and he's done. Now, the black wolf is going to do the same things. He's going to fight. He's going to claw. He's going to do everything he can to get out of that corner where he's obstructed from getting out.
Sure.
But he's going to do one thing. If he needs food, where's he going to get it? He's going to bite off his limb. And he's going to eat his own limb. Now I ask you, are you a white, gray, or a black wolf?
Yeah. I would say it's a tough one. How long can you continue to eat your limbs for you to die?
It's a great question. And Mordecai never gave me the answer to that.
Yeah.
What he was saying was that black wolf will do anything to survive.
Interesting.
And the analogy is that you want to be a black wolf.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I've ever seen a black wolf, but it's
Seen it in the movies?
It's more stories.
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
So
Yeah, I would say I am definitely the guy that will do whatever it takes to win, right? With character, with ethics, right? But in terms of tenacity, people doubted me all my life, you know? I still showed up. I still did what I needed to do. I failed miserably, fell on my face numerous times, but I still show up and I still fight.
nice.
So to me, you know, if the concept is not so logical, right, I would say I'm the black wolf. But eventually, there's nothing left to eat because you're stuck anyways.
Right.
So, but definitely takes a fighter to win. You know, they say, oh, I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover. To me, I'm both. I love when I need to love, and I fight when I need to fight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last question before we wrap this up. What's your favorite movie?
Rocky.
Me too.
Yeah.
What's your favorite scene? Rocky 1.
Yeah.
What's your favorite scene?
Rocky 1, favorite scene. Let's see. When Apollo says that's my favorite scene because it's the realization that, hey, let's give a man a chance. When they're picking the names and he's going through different names and he goes, Rocky Balboa, Italian stallion. He goes, I'm going to give this man a shot. I'm going to give him a chance and I'm going to see what he, we live in America. And that resonates with me because I came to this country with American dream and America gave me that chance to go after my American dream. So that's my favorite scene in that movie.
So it's odd that is your favorite scene because thread throughout the whole movie is that theme.
Yeah.
And there's a scene when Mickey, the gym owner, who tells Rock he's a bum when he packs his locker up, he walks up the stairs to his one-bedroom flat, okay? And he comes in, and he's literally begging Rocky to be his manager.
Yeah.
And he's begging him, and he's let all of his guards down. He shows him a picture when he was a fighter, and the reason he is where he is today is he didn't have a great manager. And then Rocky leaves. He goes in the bathroom, okay? And he walks out, and Mickey's still there, and he goes back in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then Mickey leaves, and he walks down the stairs, and the music is playing, and Mickey's walking down the stairs. But Rocky is spitting off, and he says to Mickey, and I wish I could paraphrase it exactly, but he's like, you had a shot. Your time. You did this, okay? What about me? Legs ain't working. Hands ain't working, okay? And he goes through this litany of all these things that don't work for him, and he's pissed off as hell. And then you see the next scene, and it makes me emotional. He's coming down the stairs in his row house, in Philly, and you see Mickey on the street, and the street's kind of dark with little lights, and you see him run after him.
Yeah.
And you realize that he's asking him to be his manager. And what Rocky was just a leg breaker for a bookie,
Yeah.
and he was a good guy.
Yeah.
He was a good soul.
Yeah.
Okay? And he didn't have somebody to guide him. He didn't have, you never know about Rocky's father or his mother or nothing
Yeah.
in any of these movies.
No.
None.
None.
Okay? And that to me sticks out, and it's the same thing what you said. And I want to say, number one, thank you. And I want to say, number two, guys, Albert is unique, okay? There are good people in the world, but he's genuine, he's kind, he's giving, but he's also very hard charging and super amazingly successful
Thank you.
as a businessman, but as what's more important, as a father and a husband. And whatever you want to say, take it away, just close
Yeah.
us out.
I want to go off your point because I think a lot of people don't understand how deep what you just said in terms of having that guidance, having that purpose. By the way, if I asked you, do you think my dad stopped smoking?
The answer is no.
The answer is yes.
He did.
He did. He just had to find a bigger purpose.
Got it.
He stopped smoking when he found out I was having my first child,
I love it.
right? And he found that bigger purpose to stop.
Amazing.
Right? So I believe people do change. I do believe people can become great.
Yep.
And I'm going to close off with the story. I don't know if you ever heard this story. The story is about a king that owned half of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the king said, I have everything. I have all the money. I have all the food. I have everything I need. But I'm bored. I'm bored out of my mind. I don't know what to do anymore. He said, you know what? I have a beautiful daughter. Okay? She needs to get married. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the biggest games, carnival. Everybody's going to come in from all around, and we're going to celebrate this. He throws a big party.
Right.
Everybody's coming. Everybody's celebrating. He's still bored. He's still bored. He's like, man, I don't know what to do. Yes, the food is great. The music is fantastic. But I'm still bored. He said, you know what? Let me stop the music. Stop the music. He yells. He goes, all right, listen up. I'm going to tell you this. If I'm going to give you a challenge, and whoever completes this challenge, you can have anything you want. You can have 50% of my wealth. You can marry my daughter. You can ask me for anything you want. Everybody's just staying quiet. He goes, I need a couple volunteers. So 3 people step up. One guy is huge, muscular, said, boom, I'll do anything. One guy is very smart. He goes, I'll solve any problem. One guy, he's like, oh, I have nothing to lose. Let me just step in. They go in, and he said, here's the challenge for you. You see this big pool? Yeah? I want you to swim from one end to the other end. And if you do that, whoever completes that, you can have whatever you want. The first guy goes in, he's huge. He goes, that's easy. I swim all the time. I'll do it. Goes to the edge of the pool, looks in the pool. There's piranhas, there's sharks, there's eel, there's all these, sea creatures. He goes, whoa, you didn't tell me there was going to be this here. He goes, that's the challenge. Do you want it or not? Are you going to do it or not? He looks at it. He's like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. I'm strong. I got it. Looks down, takes a deep breath, says, nah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Moves away. Second guy comes in, starts measuring the wind, starts looking at the sun, starts seeing how fish moving, says, you know what? I'll do it. Dips his toe in, piranha bites it. He goes, oh, screw it. Not doing it. The third guy, nowhere to be found. Everybody's like, where's the third guy? Where's the third guy? There's a huge crowd. The king is like getting bored now, pissed off. He's like, man, no one can do it. No one wants bad enough. It's quiet. Next thing you know, you hear the splash. Somebody's in the water. Somebody's swimming. Gets to the end of the pool. Gets up. The guy's out of breath. Everybody's like, man, what do you want? What do you want? What are you going to ask him? What do you want? The guy goes, I just want to know who pushed me. That's the moral of the life.
I love it.
Right? We need people in our life to push us.
Yeah.
To get what we want.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's scared to take that step. Everybody's scared to make that decision. Everybody's scared to go forward.
I know. Yes.
But that's why there's people like you, there's people like me who genuinely want to see people succeed.
Yes.
Who genuinely want to see people win. And if you have those people, you better hold on to them. That's what I want to close up with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, God bless. Let's push each other to be better.